congestion in the city doing this on a holiday.
Right.
But it's a good day. Everybody's off, probably hanging out, listening to their radios, whatever they're doing. So maybe we picked a good day.
Perfect day to do this.
Yeah.
Everybody's chilling.
And perfect day because the new Dream Theater record is out Friday, right?
It's, you know what? It's like one of those things where you're waiting, and then all of a sudden, there it is.
How does it feel? How does it feel for you? Like, what number Dream Theater record is this? Studio
14.
Record? 14th studio record?
Yeah, 14th studio record. Never mind all the live stuff.
With the live stuff, it's probably 28.
Yeah, probably.
It's a lot of live stuff.
I know. It's crazy, man.
14. Wow, I can't believe that. First record was what, 90?
It was 89, which I was, if you do a little bit of math, that was 30 years ago. 14th record. It's almost 2 records a year. Almost averages that.
No, wait a minute. So wait, 90.
So 89 was When Dream and Day Unite.
Right.
Yeah.
So it averages out to...
That's 30 years ago. 14 albums.
A record every other year.
Yeah, that's what I said, every 2 years.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I thought you meant 2 a year. Because that's how they did it back in the 70s.
Oh, 2 a year. Did I say that?
Yeah, I thought that's what you said. That's what
I
threw
need
me
coffee.
for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, we did 5 a year, actually.
Exactly. But that's a decent average. That's a good pace.
Yeah.
Every other year seems to be about right.
Yeah.
So 14, wow, it's amazing to me. I'm counting them kind of through my head, and yeah, I guess there is 14 of them. What is it for you, like, leading into this when you're, I guess it's probably a little different now for you than when you were putting out the early records and trying to establish the band.
Yeah.
Because back then you're just hoping, people are going to check it out. You know now with the fanaticism of the Dream Theater base, they're there day one.
Yes.
The bulk of them are going to buy that record in that first week it comes out. So I guess your approach is, and your feeling about it is a little different. It's more about what their feedback's going to be versus if people buy it, because your base is going to be there.
Right. It's funny. I kind of like, I equate it to, think about like Star Wars, the Star Wars franchise, right? When it first came out, the very first one, everyone's like, what is this? And everybody goes to it. And it's like, the best thing ever. People discover it. And then next one comes out, next one, I like the other one before a little bit better. And then in a few years, you got the newer ones, like, I don't know if they're as good as the first ones. Well, I like the new ones better than those, So it's like this continuing saga in this story, but it's like you're always trying to push forward and move forward, and you're always excited about it.
Now, are you a guy that gets overly involved in like what the fans are saying? Like, are you big into social media? Are you big looking at comments? Are you, even if you don't personally respond or anything, will you at least kind of take it all in and take that into account? Or are you somebody like, here's the record, I'm blocking all that out?
Right. Here's my approach on that. I think I would be best described as a skimmer. So I try not to invest too much of my emotional energy into that type of stuff, but it's a good way to kind of gauge a little bit how is something being perceived, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And so it's a good barometer for me, but I really try to like not get too into it, because I know guys that do that. Man, Eddie, it drives them out of their minds.
Right.
It for better or for worse. If you hear something good, you see something, you read something bad, it's just like too much immediate feedback. And for some people that like really, really hang on every single post and comment, it's bad news, man.
Oh, it'll make you crazy if you get too into it, even for like what I do.
I was going to say, what do you do with that?
Well, I will, it's interesting with social media. Like, you have to remember, like you said, whether it's pro or con, it's what I call the vocal minority. Because it's still not, no matter how many people you have that follow you or whatever, it's still not even probably a tenth of the people you actually reach, depending on whatever you do. So you do have to keep it in some perspective. And I think that it can be helpful. There might be some things you read where you're like, if it's a criticism, you're like, yeah, that's kind of valid.
Sure.
I understand that. I should probably consider that. And
Absolutely.
it's helpful. So I'm not immune to that at all. And of course, if you read nothing but all the positives too, then you can be like, I'm invincible.
Can't do anything wrong.
I'm the greatest,
Yeah.
And so you've got to keep some balance on it. But and I try to do that. But I find myself lately having, I'm so busy because of, I do 6 live shows here a week at Sirius XM. I've got a terrestrial show. I'm doing a TV show for Access TV. I'm like always on to the next thing and moving. So a lot of times Twitter is where I'm most active. So if I post something, I used to, for a long time, would go and look and respond to some
Sure.
people quickly just to kind of be engaged with them.
Right.
But lately, I haven't had much time to do that. So it's kind of like stick and move, post and let them have at it, what they want with it. And then every once in a while, a lot of times where I'll do it is late at night. The house is quiet.
Right.
I'm bored. I got the news on in the background.
And you go through.
Let me go take a look. And then I will do that to respond to people when I can, a few things that will jump out at me. Because I do think it's important to show those people that you actually are engaged and care. You know, that you want to. I don't never understood people that do. They have somebody else do their social media for them.
That's really weird. I agree because it kind of like defeats the purpose of why it's there. I mean, for a band like ours, when we first started and everything, we relied heavily, and we still do, but we started our whole career touring. We were a touring band because we didn't have. Like, the world is a big place. If people wanted to hear Dream Theater, we had to go to them. We weren't, like, plastered all over the radio or anything like that. But so what social media and the internet and everything did for a band like ours is it brought that community together.
Yeah.
So now the word is spread so much quicker, and that international community is so close and communicating with each other and the band. So it's, like, actually really helpful for a band like ours because it helped us kind of, like, I don't know, bring the whole Dream Theater like universe
community together.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild as far as that's concerned.
Well, let me ask you this: when Portnoy was in the band, he was big into that, and he still is. You know, with Twitter and social media and all that. And he assumed a lot of that with you guys.
Sure.
So with him being gone, has that more of that fallen on you? Are you the guy in the band now that does the most of it?
We kind of spread it out. I mean, I do. I kind of. Everybody has different things in their worlds that are special. Like for me, I'm really into the whole guitar community because I'm a guitar player. Sure. That's a whole separate sort of, community that I like to sort of be in touch with and reach out to. But as far as like the band communication and stuff, I do try to stay really active on it. But Jordan is super active on social media. And the other guys are as well. It's funny, like when Mike left, and a lot of the stuff wasn't as prominent, going on almost 10 years ago, believe it or not. It's like 8 years plus. But I remember feeling like, oh man, somebody's going to have to take over all the because he'd be on the forums and all that stuff. Yeah, and I was like, never did any of that. So I'm like, all right, scratching my head. All right, got to dive in here.
Get a little crash course.
Yeah.
But you never toyed with the idea of getting like a social media manager or anything, right?
You know what? I mean, we've talked about it before, but we just, I don't know. That seems weird.
I agree.
As a band, we do. There's another side of it too. There's like using those platforms for marketing, to kind of advertise dates and albums what we're putting out. So that's fine that other people do that.
Right.
But as far as like personal things like from each guy, I don't know. That'd be weird if somebody else was doing it. How is it genuine?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that the guys that actually do it, you can pick up on, and you kind of. Like, Slash actually does his. You can tell it's really him. When I talk about social media, too, predominantly I'm talking about Twitter because that's what I do the most. So I don't know about the other platforms. But I have them, but I'm not as engaged in them. And then, you look at Ozzy's and that's not Ozzy. And they don't even try to hide it. Yeah. It's just like Ozzy will be playing tonight at,
But Zach's is Zach's, right?
Zach is out of his mind.
He's completely out of
can be that out of his mind.
If that's somebody else doing it, then God help him.
Half the time, I don't even know what Zach's tweets mean.
It's bizarre.
And it's like, Blessed Sunday, Father's Day, upside down this. Like, what is he talking about?
With the whole Instagram thing with the coffee mug and the shark and all this.
I got to check him off on Instagram. I don't have as much stuff going on Instagram. I have to add him out and see.
Yeah, there's some nutty things going on there. So I'm thinking that's him.
Oh, it's definitely.
Otherwise,
there's nobody else on the planet that could be as that demented than Zach posting that stuff on there. Distance Over Time is the new Dream Theater record. Again, it is out on Friday. We're going to talk a little bit about that with John. We're going to grab some phone calls from you guys as well. And like I said, we are on the eve of its release. Not necessarily the eve, but a few days away from its release. So as it gets closer, you're realizing it's like getting ready to have another kid.
It really is. It really is.
And before we get into it, we're coming up on a break, so we're gonna play a little clip of one of the new songs going into break, and then we'll have much more time on the other side. But I want it when we come back too. Before we talk about the current record, I want to talk about the previous record a little bit because that was kind of almost a 180 to what this record is. And I know that record also was really important to you because I had you on when you did it. You played it in its entirety.
Yep.
I just had Jordan on from the Prague cruise we were both on a couple weeks ago talking, and he said that that was a bit of a polarizing thing the way you guys handled it. So I want to get your take about on what you just done with the Astonishing and how that has fed into this new record, which is out on Friday. So we'll get this break in. We'll come back and we'll continue talking with John Petrucci of Dream Theater, who is here live in the studio with me on a President's Day Monday, and we'll work in some of the calls. I know the Dream Theater faithful are out there, and if you want to talk to John, we'll include you in the conversation as well. Sirius XM Volume coming right back with more.